Oh, yeah, black sun in the hizzle.
5, 4, 3. Now we're on.
Oh, I'm about to do some ghetto stuff in a minute now. How y'all doing, audience? Today we are gonna discuss revolution. Revolution. And to my, I want to introduce my guest. To my right, we got the lovely Tracy from the Revolutionary Communist Party. How you doing, Tracy?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
All right, and to
Or
her,
us.
oh, huh?
Or us, I would say.
That's right, absolutely. And to her right, we got Brother Yanga representing.
What's going on? Thank you.
How you doing, Yanga?
I'm good, brother.
To his right, we got King of the Hebrew Israelites.
I be your servant right here, my brother.
King of the Theocratic Nation.
Well, anyhow.
Well, I brought all four of these guests on here because we all claim revolution, to be revolutionaries. And so I'm always, when I encounter revolutionaries, I'm not gonna doubt there's gonna be a revolution. It's just the after effect of the revolution. And so I wanna know what type of government are we gonna set up, ladies and gentlemen? What type of structure we're gonna set up? And me, it's no secret, that's S-O-N, together. Let's squeeze that together, it's S-O-N, thank you. Keep saying S-U-N. S-O-N, black son. My mom is black, my dad is black, I'm their son. Okay.
The son.
Right, not the son, right. All right, so Tracy, you know, I read the works of Bob Avakian. You know, he talks about revolution. You know, now, and you brought to my attention, and of course, you know, I've you know, seen Bob Avakian when Huey P. Newton was locked up. You know, he was rallying to get behind him. But my question is, the Black Panthers were they were black nationalists. And as I discussed on Gideon's show, black nationalism is not a person, because people, oh my gosh, racist, no. Black nationalism is a structure. And the structure of black nationalism is really a democracy. You know, but you hear black people always talking about, oh, the white people, they stole this from that from us. And then they talk about democracy, oh, that belongs to the white man. But see, the ones who unlocked that key to what true democracy is were killed, like Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey was deported. So my question to you is, how did Bob Avakian take the structure of black nationalism, which was a democracy, and started talking about a dictatorship?
Okay. Well, I think that if you start back actually in the 60s,
Okay.
the reason, I mean, look at the great thing about the 60s was that people, you know, rose up.
That's right.
The conditions of the people, of exploitation, of oppression, you know, even today, this, you know, we have, you know, 2.4 million people in prison. There are more people imprisoned in this country than anywhere else on the planet. You have, you know, wars for empire. You have torture that's legalized. You have an excessive spying network that's going on today.
Right. Absolutely.
You have the oppression of women that is, you know, the whole question of the oppression of black people, the whole immigrant. I mean, you look
Yes.
at the whole world today, and it is a horror, and it is
Yes.
misery for billions and billions of people.
Okay.
And that has not, you know, the 60s was a magnificent time
Okay.
where you had a lot of liberation struggles here and around the world, right?
Okay.
The Black Panthers were a very important element that came onto the scene, along with the anti-war movement,
That's
the
right.
free speech movement, the women's liberation
That's
movement.
right.
A lot of things were going on. And
Right.
a lot
Latin
of the
Kings,
exciting
right.
thing, and the civil rights movement, you have a lot of things that were actually like having a, you know, sort of the fabric was coming together, where they were tearing at the very social fabric of this country.
Okay.
And the thing that we had then was that we had China. We had Mao in China, which the Black Panther Party went to China, came back from China,
Right.
used that little red book, as
Right.
and as the ideological compass for which to actually morality and structure and all the kinds of things. But the
Right.
Black Panther Party, what they did was they ideologized revolution onto the map in this country. And that was a very, very big deal. Revolution was in the air in the 60s. That was something that people really thought that we were going to get to the other side. But we weren't able to. And because we weren't able to, there were limitations as to why we weren't able to, and that had to be studied very deeply. But Bob Avakian, who's now the chairman of the Revolutionary Communist Party and also the leader of the revolution, has created a whole new synthesis of communism.
Right.
He was the only white brother on the stage with the Black Panther Party during that time.
Right.
And what happened was they actually revolutionized revolution off the map. And with his new synthesis, he has actually revolutionized revolution and communism back onto the map in this country. That's a very big deal. So just to give
Okay.
you some background.
Right, because I noticed on the
This-
paper you
Go
said
ahead.
that the communist revolution and the real path to emancipation. So what you're saying is that communism is the key to our emancipation?
Communism is the key to the emancipation of all of humanity.
Okay.
And what this party is about is actually not nationalism, it's about internationalism. We say
Okay.
internationalism, the whole world first.
Okay.
Because capitalism, imperialism, and that's the economic system that exists today, is a system of exploitation and oppression.
I agree with that.
That system needs to go. If we are going to emancipate humanity, that system needs to go. And in place of that, we actually need an economic system that is not based on profit over people. It is not based on the exploitation and oppression of people. And with Bob Avakian's understanding of what happened in those past revolutions, he dug deep, man. He went all the way deep. He scientifically pulled the whole thing apart
Yeah,
and
because
said,
he went past democratic socialism.
he went past democratic
Well,
socialism?
what I'm saying
What
is
do you
that,
mean by that?
well, what I'm saying, okay, what I mean is that still in the process, because I know me, you, and Yang and I, we've had this discussion about the structure, meaning as an African people, we still want the foundation to have checks and balances. And so what I'm asking, like, let's just say this is after the revolution. So, me and Gideon, we joked about the Jeffersons. We finally got a piece of the pie. So what I'm saying is that as Black nationalists, we want to be able to distribute the pie. And so what is his structure as far as, the resources? Because, I know we can talk about on a blue collar worker level, where we have unions, where everybody's wages are the same, but I'm talking about international resources, like, let's just say like the Congo. I mean, who's in charge of that?
Who's in charge of the Congo?
I mean, who would be in charge under Bob Avakian's plan? Like, who would sit at the table? Just Bob Avakian?
No, that's not the way it works. I mean, Bob Avakian is the leader of a party. He actually leads a party. And what would happen is that we're not going to make revolution in this country, and I have to disagree with you. I don't think that I actually don't think that revolution is inevitable. That is not something that's inevitable. That actually has to be something, a movement that has to be built in this country. We have to actually change the thinking of a lot of people to even think that there is a possibility to get to revolution, that we are not just, have to just accept the way things are and that's the way it's going to be forever. I think that we have to understand it scientifically, and that's why you need leadership to know when actually there's a revolutionary situation where we actually have a chance at making revolution.
Okay.
But getting back to your original question, the point is that day one after the revolution, you actually have to dismantle all the structures, the whole economic base of
I agree with
capitalism
the
and imperialism.
economic, right.
You have to obliterate all the political structures that actually keep that economic system in place. Which means that you have to get rid of, all the 104 bases that are around the world that are U.S. military, shut down. Those bases around the world will no longer be. That is imperialism. So those bases will be pulled up, right? You have to obliterate the whole legal system, which is based on the oppression of people in this country. You have to you know, you have to get rid of everything. You have like corporations, Exxon,
Okay,
Monsanto, all of these corporations.
Yeah,
they have to be gone. This
Okay.
is all of these things are actually the structures in which moves capital and exploits and oppresses people. What you have to go for, and this is the Constitution actually for the new Socialist Republic in North America, this embodies Bob Avakian's new synthesis. This is a transition. Socialism is a transition between capitalism and communism.
Right.
And the reason why I say that is because you can't just jump from one economic system, boom, and get over to communism. Communism is when you're actually, I mean, Bob Avakian's are a lot of things. It's worth really reading this and also just going to revcom.us and really getting into this. You can't just jump over to one thing and just expect like, oh, we actually have to uproot the thinking of people.
Okay, well, let me ask.
You know what I mean? That's
yeah.
a huge thing, to uproot the thinking of people, to like, look at, all of us think the way the system trains us to think.
Well, let me ask Younger this question, because Younger, Malcolm X said that America is in a unique position. He can have a bloodless revolution. So is he, now, that's why I ask you, Yang, as a black nationalist, to keep me balanced. It sounded like he was saying that democracy will work if you just have the right people in place. So, I mean.
Yeah, and with a change of the whole, is like what Tracy is saying, with a change of the whole political structure.
Right.
You know, you have to change the whole capitalist thing. I think that when we go back to, even when we're going back to Huey, looking at the birth of the Black Panthers.
Right.
The birth of the Black Panthers, the Panthers were birthed out of a nationalist ideology. And when we say nationalism, we understand not define nationalism as, like a lot of people traditionally define it, as a people belonging to the same nation or the same this and that. But the African here in America, the black man and woman here in America, is in a unique position. And what I mean by nationalists is people who share the same culture, language, and heritage. And we definitely share that. We have to be careful lending our support or endorsing anything that our culture and our heritage isn't recognized in. You understand what I'm saying? So what we have with Huey, speaking to the needs of the people, seeing that black people specifically were systematically targeted for certain things and oppressed, he spoke to those needs. And in his revolution, in this revolution that was taking place in America, it's only natural when you're in the field and real-time things are happening to you, you have to have real-time applications. And a revolutionary doesn't confine him or herself to the study of just one particular way of thinking. A revolutionary studies revolution worldwide.
That's true.
It would be, you know, it would be advantageous to any black revolutionary to study, like you said, first of all, to understand communism as founded by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, and then the different syntheses, I love that word that Tracy used, different syntheses, or the different isms, as Maoism and Leninism, and understand the transitions between that, from Lenin to Stalin, and how that thing happened. You know what I'm saying? And then applying that to our specific and particular needs. And this is my concern with us, and I love what she says about we do have to be internationalists,
Absolutely.
but without losing a national, and when I say nationalist, meaning us as black people here in America, a national perspective. One of the downfalls in my studies for the Panther Party, what we call the third development or the third formation, we don't like to say original. Because that implies that the struggle died with them and that we're something totally new. The only thing new about the new Black Panther Party are the people that have joined the new Black Panther Party in the new day. But we haven't forgot our freedom fighters and political captives from Amir Abu-Jamal and the price that they have on our sister Assata Shakur's head. So to say new would be a discredit to those people who preceded us. But I say this, one of the things with our dear brother Huey, that we learned from Huey, when he went completely over to a internationalism, and stop putting certain focuses on our specific needs and troubles, you started to see the demise of the Black Panther Party.
Right.
You know, when he started, like the war in Vietnam should have been spoken out against.
I
And
agree.
the atrocities and the things happened should have been spoken out against. But to take it to that level of not just only speaking out, but taking the resources and energies and to bring attention and awareness to that extent, and even to the extent of offering to send black men and black women to fight in the Vietnam War, I think there again, like we do in any organization that we join, pushed our issues to the back. You know, and this is my concern with any organization that black people join. Where are our issues? How would they be addressed? Like we say, when a revolution takes place, will our culture be looked at as derogatory? Like you look at the twerking thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And people say, oh, that dance is derogatory, but it's actually an African dance.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying? So will our culture be looked at derogatory, and will this be one of the things put on the list? Will our books be put on the burning pile? So we have to make sure that a cultural and heritage interest and the things that we get involved with will still empower and advance us, and that we won't just fade off into oblivion. To be a good humanitarian, which I am a humanitarian. I think all revolutionaries should be humanitarian. It's a part of revolution, you know. But to be a good humanitarian is to know who you are and what you have to offer the revolution as an individual and as a people. So I think that is very important for us.
Okay. Now, Gideon, you know, you put me on the spot on your show. Ask me what nation I represent.
Yeah, I did.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to have to say, you know, and Yanka brought it to my attention, Malcolm X was the first to use the term African American.
Malcolm X.
Yes, he did.
Well, Jesse picked up on it, didn't
Well,
he?
Jesse, like Yanka talked about originality. You know, Malcolm is the original. And so him being a black nationalist, I have to, you know, go with my brother Malcolm.
Yes, sir.
You know, so, you know, being that he knew the history, and this is why he was on FBI lists, just like the Black Panthers, just like the Crips, and just like the UNIA, because they were able to call out that we were not under a democracy, Gideon.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, revolution takes place. What is your format after? Is it a theocracy? Is Yahweh gonna lead us?
Now we talking. Sorry, audio people just got.
Right. But how do you put checks and balances on Yahweh or Yah? I mean,
No, you don't check Yah, real talk. Let me just say this. Don't hit the gavel on Yah. Look,
checks and
let me
balances.
just say this, my beloved brother. First of all, praise Yah for you having me on the show and this esteemed panel.
Well, thank
Certainly,
you, man.
Brother Yang,
Man,
Sister
stop.
Tracy. I'm honored. The intelligence. I'm a country boy that never followed a revolutionary philosophy that was coded by individuals that were on the planet when I came on.
Mm-hmm.
The revolutionary that I follow is one that predated me by 2,000 years. His name is Yeshua.
Okay.
Yeshua, like modern day revolutionaries, came in a peaceful mode, like Gandhi, King. The issue is the revolution is being televised, and you're one of the main ones that's televising it. You've been able to bring people from Palestine. You got the European here. You got other nations of people that you have been able to bring
Let me make correction.
together.
We, Gideon.
Well-
Stop that centralized thinking.
Yes.
See, that's what the Bible does.
Anyhow, the point, I'll let you have that. You won that skirmish.
Okay.
The point is, the revolution is a real component that has to do with individual ways of thinking.
Okay.
The Messiah, whether you believe in him or not, was able to galvanize a following after his death. That is revolution. The revolution is not necessarily armed conflict. It is a method of changing the very thought processes that go on in our children as pertains to family, how we dress, what we're eating, how we develop our relationships. The revolution is parting from capitalist white superiority ideology that focuses on the individual rather than the collective. So this cancer called capitalism, this disease that is promoted by the host America, this particular dilemma is going to correct itself, but it has to go through its own determination, and that determination is destruction. America is heading for destruction, and the industrialized nations that follow its industrialized manifesto are also part of that destructive machine. So with those of us who are revolutionaries and not with the gun, have already began a campaign of love, acceptance, and tolerance.
Now you sound like Dr. King.
There you
Can
go,
I-
baby.
right.
Hold on,
Because
man.
at the end of the day, it's love is going to win, and the revolution is codified by that point.
Can I jump in there?
Yeah, please. Yeah,
I think, I think
get
that
this
we have
party
to understand that love is a motivational factor in the revolution.
That's right.
Okay.
It's love of humanity.
That's right.
It's love of the earth.
Very
Teach.
true.
You know, it's not. It's that love. But one of the things when you're talking about Yahshua, and I believe Yahshua is Jesus, if translated into a lot of, is what they translated into.
Yahshua, the image of Pietro Bantinelli, which has been whitewashed by Renaissance painters.
Right. I didn't want you. I'm
Okay,
just
yeah,
clarifying
go
for the
ahead.
viewers, you know,
Right,
so that we know
right.
what we're talking
Absolutely.
about. I think one of the things with that, I think that you're absolutely right. Jesus was a revolutionary.
Yes, sir.
But when it's read from a revolutionary perspective, the problem with a lot of black people and black men and women here in America, we don't read it from that revolutionary perspective.
Exactly.
That we have given up on actual labor of the people and getting our hands dirty. So we go to a spiritual understanding and we let Jesus do all the revolutionary work.
Right.
We have to understand that at that particular time, we have to understand the political climate, they were being oppressed, they were being colonized, Rome was in there and this and that. And even Jesus in his wit, he said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. You know what I'm saying? So I think that when we understand revolution, we have to first, to be able to see Jesus as a revolutionary, you have to understand revolutionary tactics. And then at one time he told him, don't pick up the sword, do a lot of propaganda.
Right.
And then at the other time when they came to get him, he said, you know, don't fall asleep. He told him get their sword, and he told my man, don't fall asleep on the job. Dude fell asleep, and he hit him with the sword later. And he's like, it's too late for all of that. So I think all of it's in perspective. Our problem is God has become an excuse for lackadaisicalness, an excuse for us not to confront the real issues and real problems that face us every day. You know what I'm saying? So one of the things I do love about revolution uses, you know, when I say revolution, the people that I study, and not saying that Jesus isn't real, but
He isn't. Yahshua is.
But their impact on history is undeniable. You can't deny the Chinese Revolution.
Oh, no.
You know what I'm saying? You can't deny the Bolshevik Revolution.
Absolutely.
You can't deny the revolution that was waged and taking place and still is taking place and declared here in America, especially from the likes of our brothers like Huey P. And I use Huey P. because a lot of brothers don't. And Egypt, all over the world.
Yes.
So I say that to say that when we understand, when we say revolution, it's going to take some real work.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? It's going to take more than just
Praying and hoping
praying
and
on
singing
it and tolerance. We have to have an
dog sick,
intolerance for the things that are taking place. And we have to be willing to go to those extremes. You know what I'm saying? To bring about this change.
Yes.
I kind of agree with like what Tracy's saying. If we don't start to affect this change, then we will see revolutions, but they won't be the revolutions that we want.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what
We're
I'm saying?
saying it
You
now.
can have a capitalist revolution. Please believe me. You know what I'm saying? The capitalist revolution was waged against the monarchs.
It
You know what I'm
was
saying?
raised
Against the
against
kings and
Gaddafi.
stuff. Right, against the kings and things. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Who came into power, but a lot of the shopkeepers and a lot of the things came into power when they started getting rid of monarchies, when they started getting rid of kingdoms. You know what I'm saying? So you start seeing the birth of capitalism and that type of thing. So we have to clarify what type of revolution we want, what type of ideologies and philosophies that are going to be put in place. And especially for us, me being a nationalist, I have to speak not just for the human interest, but for black people, black men and women here in America, where we stand in the whole scheme of things.
Tracy?
First on the religion question, I mean, as a communist, we're actually scientific atheists. So we don't even see that there is any other entity outside of the people themselves that are actually going to emancipate ourselves. You know, if we want to be emancipators, there is not going to be a savior. There's not going to be someone coming down from heaven. There's not going to be anything. If we're going to emancipate ourselves, we need to emancipate ourselves, and that's basically what's going to happen.
Black folk gonna run you out of the neighborhood.
You know what? I go to the neighborhood all the time, and we have these very important discussions. But with that said, there's going to be a lot of religious people that are going to be a part of this revolution. And there's going to be a lot of religious people that are going to actually be a part of the society after the revolution. It's not like, oop, gone, or something like that.
Okay.
But the leadership of this revolution has to be scientific. They have to be scientific. They cannot believe like, oh, there's going to be this is all based on God's plan.
Right.
You know, if you're thinking like that black men are being shot down in the street daily in this country by police, or that, you know, the 2.4 million people that are, you know, in prison today, or that, you know, women are getting raped, or, you know, all the horrors, that's a part of God's plan, then you
Right.
are actually going to stop right there and say, well, can't do anything about that because that's all about God's plan. Well,
Good
you know
point.
what? It ain't about God's plan. That's actually the system doing its work every single day on the people and keeping them down. So the point is, I think that's really important. I do agree, however, with what Gideon is saying, in that the revolution does actually need to take place in its physical form, where you have to overturn capitalism, imperialism, and put in, you know, a socialist society as a transition to communism. But it also does take place in the mind right now, and both of those things have to happen in concert with each other, because there's a lot of uprooting of the way people are thinking based on this system that has to be uprooted. The whole doggy dog, me against you, I'm going to get mine, this is my corner, you can't sell your product over here, this is mine. That's the capitalists training us how to go about it. Everything is competition in this society. Everything is a commodity to be bought and sold. So that actually needs to be uprooted right now. And the heaviest weight, and I said this earlier, the heaviest weight on people's minds right now is that we can't change anything, that this is a permanent necessity of the existing conditions. That has to change, that actually we do have a way out. There is a way out, particularly with the new synthesis of Bob Avakian and the Revolutionary Communist Party as the leadership, but that actually has to change. And the point that Jenga's making is really important. We cannot allow them to keep crushing us and actually doing these horrendous things to people. We have a strategy for revolution. It's called Fight the Power, Transform the People for Revolution. Meaning, we actually need to go up against this stuff right now. We need to get people in the fighting spirit. They cannot do this to us. They cannot wage wars around the world. They cannot be having unmanned drones
Tracy,
dropping, you know, bombs on
Tracy,
people and doing.
we
Yeah,
do
go
it for
ahead.
your good.
Say what?
We do it for your good.
Yeah, right.
Keep the terrorists
Yeah,
away from
exactly.
you.
Yeah, no, it's for America's
I mean, listen to
safety.
Gideon. He talking
America's
about a theocratic
safety.
government.
Well,
That's a terror to democracy.
let's listen to Gideon.
Okay.
Let me respond, because I think that Brother Yanga, love and respect,
Thank
Tracy,
you.
getting to understand. The issue has to do with the results of the agenda that we have presently before us that we don't control, which is capitalism.
Right.
And the question is, where is that taking us?
Okay, well, let me ask you one quick question, Gideon. What is the economical system of the Hebrew Israelites?
I think I said it last week, and it's called cooperative economics.
Cooperative economics.
It's
is-
called
Genius.
barter. It's the barter system.
Barter
See,
system.
In essence, if I have something that you need and you have something I need, then we trade on those items for both of our survival.
So how do we go about getting an F-15 fighter jet in your system economically?
Well, see, this is the issue. See, when you think as a capitalist, you need
No,
an
I'm thinking as a
F-15
warrior.
system, or warrior, which is a capitalism. Capitalism equals slavery.
No,
The
you got
issue has to-
Cuba, who
Cuba.
are not capitalists, who have military equipment.
Okay, this is the point that I'm making
okay.
that will ultimately pan itself out in the revolutionary mode. See,
Okay.
revolution is not only one of humanity.
Okay.
The revolution also starts with the earth and the planet itself.
Agreed.
Even though that the spiritual component may not be understood by my beloved brother and sister here,
Okay.
what they
Myself.
can have insight on is to the impact to the planet. See, the planet itself is being destroyed.
That's true.
The internal infrastructure through the pillaging of resources from out of the anatomy of the earth, which helps, just like a tooth. If you take out the center through a cavity, if it's eaten out, it's going to ultimately collapse on itself.
Good
So when the point, let me just get to the very
because
thing.
we all agree on that.
Okay, well,
I'm trying to hash out this.
okay, so this is the point
Okay,
about
right.
what the revolution begins, as I said, Tracy, and it starts here, but the revolution also has a component that the earth is going to play. So no matter what or what individual says we're going to get our little group to fight against imperialism, the planet itself will regurgitate this corrupt system because it's destroying its own life source.
And
You know what? We're actually on the verge of extinction because of what capitalism, imperialism does
Absolutely.
to the earth. So I don't think that the earth is going to somehow just be able to regurgitate and get everything right. Actually, what's going to need is that if we don't have a political intervention on this, actually the earth and humans are on the edge of extinction because of what they're actually doing. So it's not just going to happen miraculously. This is actually going to take a revolution to get rid of the capitalism, which is totally plundering the earth.
But baby girl,
and going
the revolution is what the planet is going to do to the people on the earth, and it will make a correction because it's going to eliminate the vast majority.
At what cost? At what
I
cost?
think that, you know, and I had to make a comment like you were saying that if we don't understand what role spirituality plays, I think that, you know, coming up as a lot of black people here in America, spirituality was really one of my first base for revolution. You know what I'm saying? It was doing to others as you have them doing to you.
Exactly.
That was the first thing that I was taught from
That's
a
right.
spiritual perspective.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say that, but even from a spiritual perspective, when you're talking about the earth, the human being was put in charge of the earth. You see what I'm saying? So then we have a responsibility. But I wanted to say what the problem with a lot of our spirituality is that there is, and especially for black people here in America, you have to understand that other people's religions and their spirituality speak to them.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? We emulate the people. The outer brother and sister, his Islam also speaks to his social and political and economical needs.
And environmental.
And his environment needs. Not only is he a scholar within that religion, they're politicians. They do their deals the same with the Jewish. I'm not even gonna say the Jewish people, but the Zionists.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? These Zionists have used religion, and look how they have used the spirituality, and they have gotten the state of Israel.
Sure.
An illegal state, which I feel like.
the help United States.
Right, exactly. So they have the illegal
Great
state of Israel.
Britain.
Now you get the black man and the black woman here in America. When we get religion, the only thing we get is religion. We don't get land.
Right.
We don't get any economic comfort and this and that. So then you
You
have
get the preacher coming to your house to eat chicken.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And the
So,
promise that
but
Jesus
then you
comes back
have
someday, right.
the people like Huey P, and this is why I say you have to be careful of these powers that be, because they will co-opt the revolution and when take it from you. Then you get the powers like the people like Huey P, who came in and actually, and this is why he's one of my heroes, and I say that he is up there with the likes of the Maoists and the Leninists and stuff like that, because he actually came and took a socialist program, and put it in effect.
Right.
We had sickle cell anemia, bro. We had free breakfast, free health care, free education. You know what I'm saying? So he was actually putting these things in effect. And what did the government do? Not just physically annihilate them. This is what everyone concentrates on, that they physically came and annihilated the Panther, but they co-opted that.
Right.
They give us, now we get free breakfast in school.
Exactly.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Now they're testing for sickle
Well,
cell
they
anemia.
returning there. They stopped the free breakfasts now.
Well,
They're starting to turn
Yeah,
it
well,
over now.
well, it's
True.
it's a gradual process. First,
Yeah.
they have to give you what you want.
Right.
So they take the motivation for fighting, and then
Yes.
after generations of
Bingo.
freedom fighters die off, and they lock and incarcerate,
snatch it back.
they start to snatch it. See, I remember when they used to give. I'm old enough, and I'm dating myself. I remember when the state and the government used to give free cheese,
Hello.
That's
peanut
right.
butter and milk.
Definitely. Yes,
you know
sir.
what I'm saying? And all you had to do was line up, be
Yes, sir.
indigent,
That's
or
right.
poor.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm saying? Live in the hood, you could go get these things. Now, once they took them to the paper food stamps and the card, now they have all these criterias and stipulations that you have to go through just to eat. You know, denying you the basics. It was a time like water. When I was coming up, we used to drink water out of the side of a hose. If you'd have told me the people were gonna capitalize and start selling water, I would have laughed you out of the neighborhood.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I would have laughed you out of the neighborhood if you'd have told me I would have paid $1 for some water.
That's me too. I grew up in the country with a well.
Right. So we're going through this time. So you'll start to see these processes. And like Sister Tracy was saying, and like Chairman Avakian was saying, that one of the hardest parts, and then in reading this paper, and this was a very good issue,
Yeah, absolutely.
where they was talking about one of the
There's a
failures
special-
of Stalin was to keep a continuous education program.
Right.
The people have to be constantly educated to the changes that are going on.
Absolutely.
Not just the intern game, the end game, what we're trying to achieve, but the process and the steps that it's going to take to get to this end game. And I think that when you do, then you start to have that spirit. You know what I'm saying? Reading about the Bolshevik Revolution, that because a lot of it is going to take that spirit of revolution. A lot of people volunteered.
Right.
So in the transitional stage, it's going to have to be for the pure love of freedom and liberation, and it has to be for the pure love of everyone having their rights, and a dislike and in fact a hatred for oppression worldwide.
Well, Tracy, let me ask this question real quick. 'Cause-
Yeah, go ahead, because I want to say something that he
Oh,
said,
go
too.
address him, and then I got
No,
a
I
question for
think
you.
it's really interesting you're saying, because I think it's worth it. Actually, I just want to put a plug in for this week's Revolution
Okay.
newspaper, because it actually is. It says you don't know what you think you know about the communist revolution and the real path to emancipation
Where
and
can
its
people
history.
get it?
You can get it online at revcom.us. You can also get a copy from me today if you would like.
Yeah.
So, but we also, Revolution Books down in Little Five Points is a bookstore in which you can come and get all of these core materials. Anyway, we could talk about where you can get it later. But the point that I want to make with him is the Bolshevik Revolution is a very important, actually, model for how to include and to uproot the oppression of all different nationalities, right? Because you read that. I mean, it was one of the most vibrant societies that ever existed on the face of the planet, as far as how actually the whole question of incorporating culture and language and of all different nationalities. I mean, and it was not only like just quote unquote allowed, it was actually funded, encouraged, all different, like in the schools, it was demanded that everyone bring their own language, and actually even brought the alphabet to the young people for them to understand how to put their language into writing. I mean, this is after the revolution, what we have. What do you have here? English only.
Right.
That's what you have here. English only. You know, they don't appreciate any kind of culture. But go back and look at actually this model in the Bolshevik Revolution, and then Babakian synthesis is even a gazillion times better than actually even what the Bolshevik Revolution was, because you actually have a model in which you can then build off of, right? That's why it was called the Soviet Union, because there were actually a lot of different areas of different nationalities collectively working together as a whole in actually, you know, in going forward. So I think that's, you know, what you're saying is a really important aspect of what, you know, how is it that, and the other point is that it's not like, oh, we just land on the other part and then you just have like this, you know, the party from the top down, which was a problem with Stalin. You're actually calling for people from the bottom up to be a part of running society.
So then why, you know, the fall of Mao's party, and then you had the Soviet Union, you had Georgia breakaway and Czechoslovakia.
Corruption, huh?
Corruption, okay.
Correct. Well, I mean, the whole question of Georgia and all that was way after. I mean, actually, it wasn't communist, and after 1956 is where it actually, with Khrushchev, it turned back to capitalism.
Okay.
And the same thing in China today. I mean, it's you know, you can see it's the largest sweatshops in the world. That's
Absolutely.
not communism. You know, and that's what I want to say, brother. Like on your barter system, you still have sweatshops in China that are actually making your clothes. I mean, who's going to, you know what I mean? I mean, even though you want to pull out onto into an island, you still have all of this oppression, exploitation of people. You know, look in your clothes. Look who's making your clothes every day. You know, got that. But let me just say this, and then you can respond, because I was just thinking about that while you were saying that. But you know, what I'm just saying is that I've totally lost my train of thought.
Well,
Good. Let me jump in
What
here.
did you say?
Because at the point
I got tripped up, man.
No, I didn't mean to trip you up. It must be the guy behind TV. The issue has to do with end game, because revolution is on the wings of the wind. It is coming. The revolution is here. It has already started. It's being televised even as we speak. End game biblically, though, teaches us what we're going to do after the revolution. America is going to fall. The industrialized nations are falling. Their economy is on the way out. The dollar is done. Okay.
Right, but your format.
All right, let me
is
give
a
you the end game, though.
All right, but you keep talking about a theocracy, because that's what your Bible teaches, and in Egypt that has failed.
Okay,
in the
but
Middle
this
East,
is the
that
end
That's what you
game
asked me.
of
That's why it failed.
the world.
We'll get back to that.
Okay.
The world economic systems collapse. What the scripture has told us is prepare for wilderness excess, wilderness access. That means there is going to be a collapse of the corporate entities in the European industrialized nations based on their own greed and corruption. As a result of that, everybody's going to have to go to an electronic system, and if you don't go into that system, you will be summarily identified as a terrorist and quarantined. For those of us who are fighting against the system of this electronic chip, i.e. Obama's healthcare plan that has an electronic registry that everybody will have to be a part of, that's in, even though the program has been extended for a year, it's coming. He has told us, come out of her. So the revolution isn't to begin fighting with the system that's destroying itself and trying to grab, like somebody drowning, trying to grab on to whoever it can to bring them down. The system, the scriptural revolutionary is told to come out of this destructive system and prepare to reorganize and formulate, maybe you said theocracy, whatever it is, the people of belief are going to come together and form a new organization based on parity, equity, and justice.
Right.
That's the
And
end
all
game
I'm
of
asking
revolution.
yourself, Gideon, I'm asking Tracy in this process is, just like right now, we are having a discussion. You know,
Certainly.
right now the Congress is having a discussion. The Senate have discussions around policies and legislations being passed. And so what I'm saying is that, you know, in this process, we're going to have agreements, disagreements.
Certainly.
You know, because I agree with Tracy. You know, this scientific, what you say, Tracy, about the-
Scientific
science,
atheism?
right? So I don't want no part, and I love you and Yanga. I don't want no part of Islam or Hebrew Israelitism into the government, because I feel threatened as an atheist. And so what I'm saying is that where are the checks and balances? I want to be able for you to participate, and that's why I admire America.
Oh my goodness!
Because they have a check and balance that
they
says
don't.
separation of church and
Yeah, well,
state that
that's
I
a-
love.
Well, let me
that
ask
comes
this
out
question.
of
Let me
Africa.
ask this question.
Well, I'm glad you said
Well,
that's
that's not true.
No, I'm glad you said that it's not true, but that's another contribution that Africans have gave to the planet.
But let me
because
ask you
one
this
thing
question.
that okay, go ahead.
Define government.
Government is simply, I'm about to call you Yanga, Gideon, a structure that distributes, that controls the economy, and it controls the laws. It controls your executive, legislative.
You define the purpose of government. I asked you to
Okay.
define what is government.
Government
Who
is a structure.
comprises the government?
And that's the question.
That is the
Okay.
question.
See, here's
the
the
people.
question. Here's my
Okay.
problem with like what you were saying about the separation of church and state, and why I totally agree with that.
Okay.
Despite any personal, you know, I like my man Malcolm. We can talk about when we talk about my personal beliefs or something like that. We'll be talking all day. So
Yes, sir.
my personal beliefs are in the closet when we're
Right.
talking about revolution. I think that there should be a separation of church and state.
Right.
I think that the motivating factor for any government or any rules or regulations that are passed should be on the better what's good for the people.
Okay, now
my
what you
problem
just-
with a theocracy,
Okay.
and like you said, is almost the same as capitalism, though, brother, because capitalism, profit is the motivating factor.
Okay,
Despite the needs of the people.
That's
With
right.
a theocracy, God is the motivating. But who's God?
Right.
But understanding of God.
true.
Right.
You know, I don't want Muslims over me
Okay.
because, and though I may be a Muslim, because his understanding of Islam, you got Shiites, Sunnis, this and
Right.
that.
Exactly.
I don't want,
And so-
you know, no offense,
Hebrew
Hebrew Israelites
Israelites.
over me because I'm not of the Jewish faith and
Right.
things of that nature. So I think that when these things are the motivating factor, you always have that tendency for leaning too far left or too far right.
Okay, now-
but when people are the motivating factor, then that is the moral compass.
Okay, now I'm gonna show you how a democracy works, Tracy Gideon.
Look out.
Brother Yanga is, you know, he practices Islam, and I have another sister that comes on the show by the name of Miriam. I trust because we just had a discussion on check and balance. You see how that works? So I can trust this man in the government now. I don't feel threatened because he knows how to differentiate his beliefs from the governing party. Now, there's black people out there who are Islamists that you ask them their economical,
Islamists?
political service. Oh yeah, they'll say Islam. So now I'm saying, okay, you do not fit. We are going to have a problem. There's going to be another revolution, just like Egypt, right after that revolution. So there's a check and balance there. And so what I'm saying is that Gideon, where's your check and balance?
Well, see, what you're not dealing with are the social elite.
Ease my mind. yeah.
Cornel West spoke of the oligarchy.
Okay.
The oligarchy is represented by individuals.
Gideon, stop that. Stop.
No, he didn't go.
Stop.
No, he didn't gavel
Gideon,
me.
ease my mind that you can be on a government, Senate, Parliament, ease my mind, because I'm feeling very uneasy right now.
This is what
I'm
I'm trying to
feeling
say.
paranoid.
The government is simply a term that defines the
Ease
social
my
elite
mind.
who control the masses
Gideon.
through mind control.
I don't want to hear that.
No.
Ease my mind right now
Okay,
because I
now-
feel threatened.
Okay, what is it you want me to say, sir?
How can you ease my mind as a Hebrew Israelite, as a governing body? Meaning your people are allowed, because this is going to be a democratic process. We got to be allowed to power to the people.
Certainly.
So can you ease my mind, Gideon, because I'm feeling very paranoid right now.
Yes, sir.
As an atheist, I feel threatened.
You saying if we were running, as the Hebrew Israelites were running the government, I should eat your
No,
mind
part.
as
No,
to
no, no,
how-
part. No, because we're all gonna take part in this.
Okay, in the democratic process.
So where's the check and balance?
Well, I think it's just as what we're having this discussion right now.
Okay.
As I reveal to you a component of my perspective about the review or the results of a revolutionary process, you give me your perspective about what you think the positives or the negatives are in my approach.
Well,
and the
okay, well-
same that I'm doing to you.
So can I put amendments on the Bible?
No,
I'm joking. Okay,
But see, this is
Can
the
you
thing.
put the what on the Bible?
amendments on the Bible.
This is the thing.
Like no slavery?
Reality, no, we're slaves in this country right now, and many people
There's
have not
slavery in the
even
Bible, man.
understood that. But see, this is the point.
Yeah.
The revolution will continue because society will continue. Capitalism is going to work to its ultimate end because it is based on demand and supply, and the supply is running out. So what we're going to see is the economic collapse of America. So the revolution and the revolutionaries have to determine what is the goal of the revolution if the society collapses on its own.
Okay, let me just say this before I ask Tracy this question. Do you know Menazim is the first elected Democratic socialist in Seattle? The people elected her. So, I mean, you talk about this conspiracy, Gideon. Tracy, are you aware of this?
I'm not aware of it, but you know what? I don't think that you actually are a true socialist and you run and be a part of a capitalist system. I mean, I think that it's not. The point is,
Whoa,
that
Tracy, they
Labels,
voted. No,
baby.
hold on.
Labels.
They voted for a Democratic socialist.
No, I understand.
So apparently she don't agree with capitalism.
Democratic socialists don't have a problem with capitalism. Actually, I mean, you can bring a democratic socialist onto your panel and prove me wrong. But basically, I mean, their whole thing is actually reforming capitalism, making it a kinder, gentler, nicer capitalism,
Beast.
and actually being able to what they see as implementing more social programs, but not changing the framework of actually the economic system in which we live under. So they're not. It's not like they're not revolutionary.
So no shot callers as far as rural
No, I mean,
resources.
they might have like they want to see more social programs, but the more the point is like social programs under capitalism, they're cutting it right and left, man. And you know what I'm saying? I mean,
agree,
you've got
right.
like. They're what food stamps are now like on the cutting
Cutting.
block.
Yeah,
You've got
cutting,
you're cutting
Food
unemployment.
for children in
You've got-
schools, cutting.
I'm just saying, cutting.
Music classes, cutting.
Yeah, because the point is that that's not that because the system works as far as what the system's needs are. What the system doesn't have right now is a future for a whole section of people, particularly black youth and Latino youth right now,
Right.
and never will. So what are they doing? They're warehousing them into prisons. And they're warehousing them into prisons not because it's making a small amount of people some money, which indeed there are people who are making money off the
Absolutely.
prison system, but that's not why they're warehousing them. They're warehousing them because the way we see it is it's actually the counterinsurgency before the insurgency. What they're doing is they're actually warehousing and locking down whole sections of people that they know from the 60s very well. They learned their lessons. Who are
revolutionaries.
not going to actually be allies when the rubber hits the road.
Yeah.
So yes, you know this whole prison industrial complex. There is no prison industrial complex. It is capitalism, imperialism, and they're
Absolutely.
doing what they need to do.
Absolutely.
And there are a small amount of people who are making some money off of it, just like any capitalist
The
is going to have
oligarchy.
anything to do. But they're actually locking down whole sections of people
Absolutely.
because they see that there is no future for this. When you're actually looking and you're seeing like how does all of this work in society? Look, jobs were taken out of the community.
Absolutely.
Why were jobs taken out of the community? Because you can make a shitload. Oh, can I?
well, you
I'll
good,
make
go
a
ahead.
lot more.
Oh, did she say that?
A lot more.
Say it
A
down.
shipload of
You can
money.
make
She said a shipload of money. That's right.
You can make
Yeah.
a lot more money if you plop down, your factory in Vietnam off of the people there and actually make a lot more money off of the profit there. And if that doesn't work out and you can make more money off the people in
India.
you know, in India, in China,
That's
then
right.
you're going to pull those roots up and let all those people to dry and put them down there. If it doesn't work there, you'll go to Haiti and do the same thing. So, you know, they're actually
Yeah.
pulling this out, and that's what
Yeah, I
you're.
agree with
Yeah,
that.
you-
I'm gonna have to speak on the prison industrial complex. I agree to an extent. I think right now, like you said, it's not making a lot of money, but I think that once we understand what capitalism was founded on,
Yes.
which is slavery, and I think you showed me in the beginning of Chairman Bacon's book the statement he made about that. So we look at like you said, we look at things from a scientific perspective, so we have to start doing reasonable deduction.
Right.
And what's going to happen is we're talking about these sweatshops in India, we're talking about these sweatshops in China. After a while, you're dealing with a state too that is fascist in nature. So after a while, they're going to save a lot of the money by not having to do sweatshops and getting prison labor.
Right.
Okay,
It's just that simple. It's a new day. It is a modern day slavery. You can go to some country towns now, and they don't even have road crews or people. The prisoners do the trash. Do you
That's
know how
right.
much money that's saving the state?
that's right.
You know what I'm saying? And then now they're renting out prisoners.
That's
Yes.
right.
So it's modern.
Yes.
it's slavery. You know, remember back in the day they
Never
used to
stop.
lend the slave down to the next
Slavery
plantation,
by any
right?
means.
Slavery by any means. So the whole purpose of bringing a people over here
Yes.
to build up a imperialist empire, to build up an imperialist dynasty, and to start this capitalism off the slavery and the labor and the sweat of minorities, especially in particular and specifically black people. And when that was so-called abolished, they didn't have anything to do with us. Like Tracy was saying, what are you going to do with them?
Yes.
We learned from the '60s. They're disgruntled. They'll listen to anybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The communists tell them they'll join the
Rise up.
communist
No,
revolution.
actually, people
The
rise
Muslims
up.
join. Yeah, the Muslims come. So they'll listen to anybody.
Yes.
Right.
And join the revolution because the thing we do know, we may not know who we are, but we
Right.
know who the hell the enemy is.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So one of the things is we do have to look at the end game of that. And I believe wholeheartedly that it's designed to bring back and even in one of the things, the amendments in the Constitution, it's designed to bring back a constitutional slavery.
Yes.
It's designed to
Right.
bring back a
Never would,
legalized
right.
slavery.
Yes.
And you're looking at years from now, they will not have to go to China.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're not going to have to go to Indonesia anywhere. They can go right here in Georgia.
Okay.
Well, you know, as we get in
Possible.
here, and I want to just hear their perspective on the end game, because again, the issue of the incarceration of our children is, as you've indicated, is huge, and it is a
Right.
part of capitalism. It is also a part of the revolution, which is why the Biblical Manifesto states that
Biblical Manifesto.
The Biblical Manifesto, baby, that's what I
Feeling uneasy?
represent. That the prison house will be open. See, the issue, that only thing that divides us on this panel right here, you know what has divided us?
Here.
Labels.
No,
Labels.
No, no,
I think
no,
it
no.
The
helps.
labeling, wait a minute, hold on. If we eliminated the labels, I love this brother, I can tolerate my sister, I don't know her, I love you because we've been here for years and years. It's tolerance, acceptance, and consideration for one's brother and fellow man. Without the labels, then we just began to unify around the common need to survive: water, food, clean air.
Okay, but why do we lower ourselves like? I mean, let me
The
just-
lowering
ideology.
is the labeling.
I'm
No,
gonna think
no,
it's
no, no,
ideology,
no.
man.
It is
ideology.
Because
It is ideology.
we will have that commonality. You know what I'm saying? I think that whether religion, certain politics,
Thank
you know
you.
what I'm saying? They're all gonna have that commonality. But it's gonna come a time when you're talking about governing the people
That's right.
that it's like, if you
How do
can't.
you define it?
It's right, because it's ideology. It's like, I'm a Muslim.
Right.
You know, and you might have some
Label.
brothers and you might have some brothers and label, but you might have some brothers and sisters enjoy pork chop. You see what I'm
That's
saying?
right, right.
So who controls the dietary laws? Who controls
The circumstances.
Well, I mean,
Well, if we're in a-
come on.
if
So
we're in
that's
a
what I'm saying. It's
post-revolutionary
bigger than
age.
labels. If we sit here and rap, and we talk about revolution, and we don't even have to say what any of us are. We don't have to wear buttons, have papers, this and that.
Exactly.
Our speaking,
It's-
our ideology, and everything will
define.
define us. So I think it is a little more than just labels. It's actually, you know what I'm
No,
saying?
it is
from a
ideology.
perspective.
No,
Yeah,
it's a world outlook. That's
Yeah.
what it is. It's a world outlook and it's a philosophy, and we have differences. It's not to say that we all cannot work together,
Right.
because we actually all really want to go and have a better world. That is totally what we actually what we do
Bingo.
have unity
What-
around. But what is the end game? What do we all want? There are differences in what we actually want.
That's
It doesn't
true.
mean that we can't figure out, that, like, for instance, in the revolution that I follow, Bob Avakian's New Synthesis, there's room for everybody. He actually has this whole formulation. It's called solid core with a lot of elasticity. It's a very important formulation. This is the question you had at the very beginning of this conversation. What is it going to look like, on the other side?
Right.
Is that you have to have the solid core. You have to have the scientific ideology and understanding of where you're going and how you actually get to a world that is not based in exploitation and oppression. Now, do you have a lot of elasticity within that, with a lot of people bringing to the table all different truths about what we need to do in order to get there? Okay. Absolutely, but that is the basis for what that society is going to look like.
Tracy, I got to address something that that communism has a stigma on. Like with China, they say there's a 1 or 2 child limit. So my question to you, and the question to Yang, and the question to Gideon. My first question is, do we have enough resources on the planet to accommodate everybody, number one? And number two, if we have enough resources on the planet, how do we educate people that we can balance this?
Will you eliminate capitalism, imperialism?
I understand that.
Taking people's property, indigenous.
You're repeating a problem.
No,
what I want is a solution.
Okay, the solution again. Well, let me just say in my concluding statement. I just simply want to say.
So there's enough resources, correct?
Yes,
no.
there are. Yes, there are.
So now we have a disagreement here.
Well, let me just say, because of what capitalism has done to the planet, the stopping people from farming, controlling Monsanto, controlling the resources, the introduction of the terminated seed that is out there now.
Reversed.
It can be, but it also has a cyclical effect that has a cycle that's going to complete, that's got to be completed. Okay. So at the end of the day, once we eliminate the labels, then we begin to survive based on the needs of the whole, not the individual philosophy.
I think there are enough resources. One of the things that I'll say, and I'll be brief, is that's why I believe in nationalism. Right. To a degree, I believe that Palestinians for Palestine for the Palestinians. Right. And when the people control their land, first of all,
sure.
And things of that nature, and I'll be passing on.
I think you should just go to revcom.us and read up on it. That's what I think you should do. I think there's enough resources for all of us to not only have food, shelter, intellectual ferment and feeding us culturally. I think there's enough to go around, and that's what I have to say.
All right. We're going to continue this. We're going to have Tracy back on, and we're going to continue this. We had some more people. Sorry we ran out of time. One thing we don't have enough time on this show, but we're going to have to come back. But we be out. And, hey, don't forget to donate.
Won't be back next week.
Won't be back next week. So
something about a turkey or something.
We out. Peace, pie, peace.
Forgot about that part.
Capitalism, taking over.